Hello you guys, and welcome to the Better with Less course week 1 bonus, which is a Q&A video. This is the first of 6 Q&A videos that you will experience throughout the course. They will happen every other week, and this is our first week together, so we're starting with this one. And with any of these, we'll go through a few updates first and then get into questions. And this week we have 3 big questions we'll be addressing. But first I want to get to some of the just general updates and announcements related to the course. And this first week there's a few more of these just because it is still our first week and we're getting acclimated to the course program, getting settled with things. And I just want to make sure everyone's in a really good state with the course and that we're not having any logistical issues. I also will be looking at some notes here that I have on the computer, so if I'm looking down, that's why. First of all, I just want to say welcome to everyone. This is so exciting obviously I've worked on this project for a long time, and to finally have our first group of students here all together has felt amazing. And I've really loved communicating with you all through email or through the Facebook group or the discussion posts on Thinkific itself. The comments have been so meaningful, and I just feel so much energy in this space, and it makes me so excited to be a part of it. Some of you have already been sharing your victories with me, and that is the greatest. I hope we keep that energy up as we go throughout the course. Now, if you have been experiencing any technical difficulties, either with the program itself or other related things, of course, please let me know. And then if you haven't received any emails from me at all or from the course, there should be one notification that comes out directly from the course each week. I believe those come out on Saturdays, although I actually do not set that. It's an automated message, and as well as I did send out a message as well this week. So hopefully you received something. If not, also, please let me know, either again on the discussion board of this video, or if you're watching it on Facebook, just leave a comment there so we can work through that issue. And then also, if you have had any issues getting into the Facebook group, let me know. There's the link in the course page. Hopefully we're moving through those logistical issues, but definitely let me know so I can try to help you as best as I can, since I know sometimes this online course thing can be a little difficult with different parts of it. So far, I'm loving all of the different interaction on the discussion posts on Thinkific as well as within the Facebook group, and I think it's so awesome that you guys are sharing your successes, your struggles. You can feel free to share before or after photos if you want. Really anything that you're struggling with, please share, because this is a community I can already tell that is very eager to support each other, and I think there's a lot that can be gained from having this positive interaction and support as we're going through a big transformation. So definitely keep sharing all of those victories, asking questions, providing any details that you want to share about your transformation or your experience as you simplify your life. This, I think, is also really wonderful motivation to keep people going. I do have one pretty big change to announce, and this is basically just an extra bonus for you guys. As I was reading over some of the feedback about areas that were your biggest challenge, I noticed a lot of people brought up paper clutter and digital clutter. And I must admit, there's not a dedicated section to it. It's incorporated a bit in the other sections of the course, but not a whole dedicated section. It wasn't as much of an issue that came up in the demo group, but I have decided that I'm going to turn this from a 10-week course into a 12-week course so we can dive into both paper clutter and digital clutter. I know I advertised it as a 10-week course, and that was really my intention. That is the materials I built, but I realized that there is a need to do more with paper and digital clutter. So because of that, I wanted to go all in on those and actually create a full week for those. I heard your feedback, I heard the areas of struggle that you have, and I want to make sure I'm doing the best I can to help you guys out. With these bonus videos, because we'll be a 12-week course, there are going to be a total of 6 of them. It alternates between bonus video and a bonus challenge, decluttering challenge of some sort. So with that, just keep questions coming in whenever, either through email, through the Facebook group, or through the discussion board post. I read everything, and we'll make sure that it's get answered in a video. So the next video you would expect is in week 3. And I think I will likely have you guys submit your questions Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then I'll probably film them Thursday evening, like I am right now, and then they'll be up on Friday for you, which I think gives people more time to start going through the materials. With the bonus videos, I do want to say that I am choosing to do them recorded and edited rather than live. And the main reason for that is I think that I can give the highest quality answer if I really have my questions prepared. And you'll see for the 3 questions, we're going into depth and we're really organizing these things. The last thing I wanted to say before we get into today's questions is I really want to encourage you to go at your own pace. When I design this course, obviously I'm having a set curriculum we do each week, but this is your life. Life gets busy. We all have different areas that are the biggest struggles for us, and that means that certain weeks are going to be more challenging for some of us than others. What I want you to know is that you are supported in this course, but I don't want you to ever feel pressured in this course to keep up with something that's unrealistic for yourself. If you need extra time on certain areas, take the time that you need. We're going to make a lot of progress during the next 12 weeks together, but I know that we're not necessarily going to completely transform every single thing fully during that time. Some of it is going to take a little bit longer than 12 weeks, and that's okay. Be kind to yourself. If you feel like you're struggling with it or falling behind, do not feel badly. We are battling different things with family, with sicknesses. It sounds like a lot of you have a lot on your plate, and just, be compassionate to yourself. I'll be here for you whenever you need it. The materials will be there for you, released each week, but it doesn't mean you have to do them right away. I just want to acknowledge that because life is busy, life can get kind of crazy. And whatever your journey looks like, whatever your pace is, that is okay. The point is we're making progress, we're not stopping, but whatever that speed is for you, that is totally fine. So just be compassionate to yourself. All right, let's get into the questions. This first question comes from Catherine. She said, "Hi, I'm having trouble decluttering one item in my life that is an obstacle to live according to my values. What kind of items have you decluttered so far?" And this was something put out more generally towards the Facebook group, but I wanted to address it here. Now, I think the specific area she's talking about comes from the Action Steps handout, where I gave you guys a couple different breakdowns of things after you've reflected about your values and your vision, a few specific areas that you can target. And specifically, there was a question written on the Action Steps that says, what items from your physical space are holding you back or enabling you to live a life that you don't want? With this, I'm really happy she brought our attention to this question, because it makes me think a little bit that this will likely be items for a lot of people, but this also might be habits or just programs or the ways we live our lives. It's not necessarily going to be stuff. And I have a couple examples to illustrate this one. I also think a word we can use is enablers. Certain things or habits that enable us to make choices that don't align with our values. Let me give some examples. First up, let's say a value is health. If we value our health, what part of your life enables you to be unhealthy? Perhaps it's unhealthy food. Perhaps there are unhealthy habits or different activities that you do that keeps you up a lot longer than you should be and you're not getting to sleep. Or obviously, like the food example, foods that you're eating that are not making you feel at your optimal level. Maybe one of your visions for yourself is that you're going to exercise every day, but what is it that's preventing you from going for that walk when you get home from work? Maybe it's family. What is enabling you to spend less time with family or be less present with your family? For some people, it might be their phone or being caught up in social media or watching YouTube videos, or maybe there's a certain activity that it does give them enjoyment, but if they value spending time with their family or being more connected to their family, does that interfere? Maybe it's with your financial freedom. Maybe you value being financially free or not having to stress as much about finances. In this case, what is enabling you to spend more money than you should be? Do you have Amazon Prime, and does it encourage you to buy stuff you don't need or buy things more often because you've got that resource that gives the 2-day shipping and the free shipping and all of that? As we break this down, I think hopefully we can see that it's not necessarily just items, but it can also be habits. And I think that should probably be a change I reflect in the resources as well, because it might not be an item. It could be. I think in our physical space, depending on what it looks like, there might be these enablers, like maybe it's certain clutter enablers that encourage you to hold on to more than you should. So it really is very flexible. but hopefully that clarifies it a little bit, and you don't have to feel like you just have to think of an item, but it might be a habit. Follow-up question that Catherine had: does the process of stopping buying something that doesn't go along with values count as decluttering? And I did answer this one in the Facebook group directly, but I would say that decluttering is great, but if you can prevent yourself from buying something that you'd maybe have to declutter anyway, is the best, because that's the preventative approach. You see, with decluttering, we already brought that item into our space. It's been there for a while. When we are able to prevent the purchase of something, not only do we never have to declutter it because we didn't buy it, but we also don't have to pay for it, which then means you've got money to allocate towards your values and other things that you care about. So definitely that preventative approach is very important. The next question came from the discussion board. There were several different people talking about open and unfinished projects, when you've got multiple projects going on and how you handle it. There was some talk about feeling frustrated with oneself when we're not able to achieve the projects that we want to do. And it could definitely feel very taxing to feel like you're trying to keep up with too many of these projects. So I really wanted to break this one down a lot. Whether it's home projects, decluttering projects, art projects, whatever type of projects you're dealing with. Number one, self-care. Show yourself some grace and patience, because beating yourself up about not getting something done, does that actually help? No, it does not. I know I've done it before. Maybe you've done it before, but ultimately, shaming ourselves for not accomplishing something does nothing besides make you feel bad. It does nothing to actually accomplish anything. Obviously, it's a lot easier said than done, but be gentle to yourself, be kind to yourself. Next, I think it's important to see it as a mindset shift. It's very common to have a lot of different things happening all at once, or to be having our mind in all these different projects. But being divided and stretched thin in lots of areas is not going to help us get those projects done either. So have that mindset shift that you're only going to be working on one thing at a time, if possible. After you've had that mindset shift, next, to do a project brain dump. Write out on a piece of paper, or type it out if you prefer, write out every single project that's currently taking up space in your brain. Anything. If you need to walk around your space and see the projects themselves, write it all out. Every single one, no matter where you're at with the project. If it's unfinished or it's still in progress, write it down. Leave nothing out of this list. Make it very complete. We have to sort them. We're going to sort them in two ways. The first way we sort them is by interest. There will be three categories here. Is this something you have to do, or is it something you want to do? But it's not a have to, but it's a want to. And there's nothing better or worse about either of these categories. Or is this something you don't want to do or don't have to do? So you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. In this category, if there's anything that you don't have to do and you don't want to do, cross it off. Because if you don't have to do it and you don't want to do it, why would you do it? There's no practical purpose or no enjoyment that you presumably get out of it. After you've done that, now you're hopefully, maybe you reduce your list a little bit. Now let's sort them by time. So you can decide if you want to highlight them again or divide them up into new categories on another sheet of paper or on the dock, wherever you're at. What are the quick tasks? Tasks or projects that could be finished within 1 or 2 hours. What are the weekend projects? Basically things that are going to take at least several hours, but could be realistically done in a weekend. Also, please be realistic here, because if you're not realistic about it, that's not going to help us with this. So we have to be very aware of how long something will actually take. Third, what are the long-term projects that are going to take many days or many hours on many days to actually complete? You have your three categories. With the long-term projects, I want you to take these and subdivide them into smaller steps. So how can you break up? What are the individual steps along the way for those massive projects? After you have done that, then we're going to be doing some scheduling. If these projects are weighing on you and they are something you want to achieve, or even just prioritizing, it may be helpful to schedule them. Now, I'm not saying we have to schedule them dramatically, like down to the minute, but I think it can be helpful to give yourself, either like a week that you want to do it, or a certain weekend you think would be a likely time to get it done. Either putting in those quick tasks on a day or week, the weekend tasks, and for those longer projects, one of the individual steps of that. If we're able to loosely schedule when we want to be doing these things, it's going to make it easier for us to actually make that happen. And also understand, if you've had these major unfinished projects for years, it's not all going to happen in a month. So maybe you realistically say, you know what, a victory for me would be to get a project done sometime during the month of May. And if that's a goal, and like set that as your goal, knock it out, because that is more achievable. You didn't try to do all the projects all at once, but instead if you break it down and be realistic with yourself, I would say, if you've got projects that haven't happened in years and you're able to knock one out per month, or one out every other month, that's big victories. It does actually kind of connect to Leah's question, which is the next one here. And she asks, when starting on a decluttering and minimalism journey, what is your recommended angle of attack? Examples: one room at a time, one type of item, switching off areas every day or every week. There are so many different ways to begin, it can be overwhelming and tempting to jump from method to method with no real progress. This is an amazing question, and I'm sure it's something that a lot of people maybe have, especially if you're new to decluttering. Ultimately, how you choose to declutter and how you figure out how to declutter depends 100% on you, and it's so subjective. There's so many factors that go into it. So I will not be able to say, oh, this strategy is the number one proven strategy. That does not exist. We have to acknowledge it will look different for each person, and even beyond that, it's going to look different for each space. However, what matters most in this situation is that you're able to complete the task or to follow through. So really, the number one thing we want to avoid is taking on more than we can handle. With the materials during the course, you're going to see a variety of strategies. Sometimes you're going to see a certain room or a certain section of the room. Sometimes you're going to see like one drawer. You'll see a lot of the smaller like action steps, just 15 minutes guides, which will say a certain number of items, and it will be a very reasonable, doable, smaller number to kind of get you going in a certain area. You're going to see so much variation. So that's kind of built in. For many people, especially if you are really struggling with a large amount of clutter, I don't think it'd be best to start with a whole room, because I think you'll quickly become overwhelmed. As you've simplified more, like I'm in my living room right now, kind of looking at it, there's really not that much in the living room. So I could say, oh, do a room, and maybe I've got, including like I've got bookshelf here, some other work stuff, maybe have 100 items in the living room. So it would not take that long to actually empty things out and go through it. But if you've got a lot of stuff and you're just starting, don't put the pressure on yourself of trying to do a whole area. So depending on your level of overwhelm too, if you do feel like you have a lot, definitely don't start with a whole room. Maybe you can start with individual drawers, cabinets, very specific sections that are holding stuff. Start there, because we want to accomplish these tasks. We want to break them down to a point that is manageable to us so we can accomplish them. To get them done, get that clutter out and have that victory under your belt. This is not an exact quote, but I really liked when I heard it. A lot of times people wait to do something until they feel motivated, but oftentimes what motivates us is achieving something. I think the best decluttering motivation would be to take a small area and knock it out and achieve it. And then that motivation is going to fuel you to do the next step or the next drawer, cabinet location, and it will allow you to keep progressing, whether that's the next day or the next week. I guess the short answer, break it down as small as you need to be able to make actionable progress. I hope you guys enjoyed the week 1 bonus. That is all the questions I had, but what high-level amazing questions from this week. Feel free to keep sending in questions either on the Facebook group, discussion posts, or by email, as well as any feedback that you want to share with these. Thanks again for being such a wonderful group of students. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.